No fireworks for us. Thank you. So we do we have any apologies for absence?
Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Osborne.
Yes, Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, Councillor Weller asked if I could pass his apologies for personal reasons, and I may or may not have to leave the shop notice for my own.
Okay, that's fine. No, thanks for letting us know. Thank you. Right. Okay. Declarations of interest. Councillor Taylor.
A personal interest in item 8.
Okay. All right. Yes. And item 8 for yourself as well. Thank you, Councillor Ellis as well. Any pecuniary interests? Let's just say that's yeah. Sorry, I didn't need drink. Okay. Public participation. Yes, sir.
I'd like to request on behalf of the Grosvenor Park allotment holders that you could put a delay on your eviction of the chickens since it's been discussed at the next environmental meeting. Because the time after the next environmental meeting will be quite short for them then have to get rid of chickens, not knowing whether you're going to change your mind or not.
I know that, yeah, thanks for raising that thing. The chicken saga with the rats that we've been having a discussion about, it is a really sensitive one. We are trying to be accommodating in this. Now that we've employed a professional to assist us in this, it would probably be wise for the council to review progress on that before making an absolute decision anyway.
So can I request that a postponement put on the eviction notice as such as it was? I'm not sure the official word of the letter.
I can't make what I can't do as chair of the council is make a decision for the council.
No.
It's not on the agenda today, but what I can say is on the environmental agenda, we can certainly ask for a review of that to be put on the environmental.
I found out on the way down here, Paul has told one of the allotment holders that it's going to be on the agenda. But so at that point, it was then hoping that we could find some way of getting it so that they didn't have the 30 days from when they received the letter. Because again, that's such a short notice. Do they keep them and then only a few days to get rid of them?
Sorry, I'm gonna.
Sorry, yeah. When Paula said it's going to be on the agenda, she did mean for environment. Unfortunately, to be on the agenda for tonight, it would have had to have been raised a week ago to get on tonight's agenda.
That's kind of the problem, because we didn't have the notice for tonight's one.
Yeah.
And so by the environmental one, it's going to be a very late notice for them to find homes, or they're just going to have to kill the animals.
No, I understand that completely. We wouldn't want that to happen. It didn't actually say they had to be evicted. It said if they're not gone, we will have to start charging pest control related to them. So don't think anyone's going to go around physically evicting your chickens on the day. You know, please.
They're not actually my chickens,
No,
so they still feel strongly about it.
Yeah, we can certainly put that on, but please be assured we're not planning to act in any mercenary or unfair way.
No, that's cool. So
Okay.
that's definitely going to be on the agenda.
Yes, 100%.
That is going to be on the agenda.
And then one other one, I was asked whilst I was sat here about the tax.
Yes.
Because I was told 6. I was told I could tell everybody else 6. We've had 1.
Yeah. Well, the one that was provided was. Yeah, the one that was provided was through the original agreement with the allotments. We are looking to put additional ones in. Now we do have material to do so.
We've just put one in.
We just put an additional one in, I think.
Yeah, so you should have 2 now.
That's the point. We were told we were going to get more than 1 extra. We've only had the 1 extra, so a lot of people are very confused as to whether we're going to get more than that 1 or whether we're only going to be stuck with the 2 taps. There are some people who are having to wheelbarrow a lot of water backwards and forwards in this temperatures, and some of them are not very, very physically fit and able, and they're having to go quite far from the tap. So it's just whether that's still in the works to get more taps.
If I'm honest, some of it's before my time, and I've been here a very long time, and no point was there ever.
This was a discussion between myself and Phil.
Yeah. I know that there was a suggestion for that. We took it back to the team, which was before Michelle's time, admittedly, and we didn't ever finalise what we're doing. We had a recent site visit with councillors up there, and I know we were talking about more taps. I don't know whether we settled on an absolute figure that we were going to do, but we can have that as part of the environmental discussion, because that would be the right place to do that.
Yep.
And we'll get a final figure.
Cool, as long as it's still on the
Yeah,
table as
absolutely.
such, that's brilliant.
What I will say is, we have been tremendously short-staffed.
No,
For a
that is
period of time.
absolutely fine. That's why I've been asked to ask about it rather than kicking fuss about it.
No, that's fine, and we are prioritising all these projects. A lot of these projects are turning into autumn, winter style projects where our ground staff will have more time than managing the greens they do in the other areas at the moment. So to manage expectations, but what we will do is we'll finalise that as part of the agenda item as well.
Yeah, definitely, and that is why we pushed. I know it seems that people aren't necessarily happy with that, but that is why we pushed to get that second tap in and spread.
We are very grateful.
So
for
at
the
least
second
you weren't going
It
into
was just
summer with
knowing-
just the one.
We were
Yeah,
knowing if it's only going to be the two or whether there's still future development, but if there's still.
Quite
okay, that's
possibly.
brilliant.
quite possibly.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
So yes,
Could we
Councillor
give the gentleman the date of next environment?
I've already got it,
You've
but
got
thank you.
thank you.
It's on it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Keith.
Yeah, it's follow up from that Grosvenor in the Park allotment. When we had the first meetings with Tyler Wimpy, that was the vision to feed the allotments with the water from continuation ponds, or is it, it's the water coming off mains?
It is the continuation ponds. I never knew anything about, and the continuation ponds are on site. They are more attenuation systems than they are for continuation. So they're for drainage of extra flood water more than anything else. So there's no ponds there to draw from that I can see at the moment, particularly with the weather we've had.
Because that was what Wimpy's put, Tyler Wimpy put forward when we had the consultation. I
That would
always
be very interesting. If you could you find out, Tom, I mean, Keith, I'd appreciate if you have a look with Brecon the planning to see what was finalised and agreed upon. Because if there is some shortfall that we can get some help with, we'll be grateful for it.
Right.
Thank you.
Good question.
Thank you.
Can I can't sit down there if you want me to do it.
Mindful of them. Go very, very quickly.
It's on behalf of a couple of parents that came to see me today and asked why had the council stopped the fair Thursday and Friday that was going to go on the rec and only allowed it on the Saturday because her children had saved up for the last one to be cancelled because of the weather, and she can't afford the £10 entry fee at the weekend, so it means her children are going to miss out on the fair if it's not home. And did they know the reason?
For the stepping on this.
Yeah, it wasn't us that said no. It was apparently the carnival committee. I don't know what conversation has happened between the fair and the carnival committee, but it's absolutely nothing to do with us, and we haven't stopped the fair operating in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that's fine. It seems a shame that it's not working those 2 days when it's been
It's been
cancelled before. So if you don't go to party in the park, I think you won't be able to go to the fair,
No.
is that it? I think that's a big, big shame.
I think there may have been some. No, I wouldn't like to say because I'm making presumptions.
It was just like
Yeah,
this
I'm making
asked.
presumptions, but there's obviously been some discussion between the fairground and the carnival committee.
But rather than speculate too much in public on
Yes.
this,
Yeah,
we'll
Yeah.
see if we can come back to you with an answer on
Well,
that.
please.
But certainly, it would have been and undoubtedly have been supported by ourselves for
Yeah.
the extra days.
Thank you.
Sorry, Nigel?
Two quick questions. Tomorrow night, is it a full Q&A? Consultation.
It's relative to the party itself, yes.
Fine. And I'm still waiting for a response back from the 10th of June to my telephone message and email. Still haven't got a response.
was that the one where you said I had 72 hours to sort out people using the park out of
I believe
hours?
so, not according to the email.
Um,
I don't know what email you mean, and I'm
Okay,
sorry.
you'll have to have a look at them.
okay,
You still haven't told me how you intend to comply with planning consent.
well, that's part of the consultation.
If that's going to be the line you're going to take, there are very clearly noted on the 7th of March, wouldn't need to go to planning. So unless you're going to go change of planning consent from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, how are you going to comply with it?
Okay, well, this is an open forum. We don't have to answer these questions at this point. As process, but it is something that the council will consider and will notify you in due course.
Sure, please. Thank you.
Just to clarify what Nigel just said about the date, that's Wednesday night, isn't it?
No, it's
It's
tomorrow.
Tuesday, tomorrow night. Tomorrow night.
Oh, I got that down wrong.
No, tomorrow night.
I'll have to change round.
Okay.
6 p.m.
Okay, any other members of the public? No? Okay. We'll carry on to item number 5, which is the minutes of the annual town council meeting held on the 6th of June. Any comments, queries, amendments? No? Okay. Anybody feels so to a motion that we sort of abstain those, if that's okay? Yeah. Councillor Bond, Councillor Dow, and show of hands for approval. Okay, well, is there any opposed and any abstentions?
I was just wondering.
You were present, Councillor Dow. Okay. And item 6A. This is a ratification of comments responses made. There's no queries, would you like to propose them? Councillor Lane, anyone second? Councillor Bond, show hands for approval. Any opposed? And one abstention, Councillor Tate. That's passed. We'll go through these and vote on them at the end. But item 6B, which is a planning application, is not due yet. The first item ending 0672 HOU, which is for 42 Lavender Close, single story rear extension. Anyone like to raise anything on this? I'll put that down as no objections. Next item 0713/F, which is change of use of land, change of use of land for erection and siting of finding back exchange for no communications. And that's cited on the council's land that we've already agreed in principle. I suppose we could also would technically have a declaration of interest in that in a way. But as it's a planning matter, would anybody like to comment? No objections for that. I presume so. It's what we had from the town council previously. 0719A, which is footpath outside 1 High Street. Talking about LCD displays. No objections?
I'm a bit puzzled about this. We're getting the entertainment industry coming onto the high street, promoting presumably BT adverts of all kinds. Oh, why don't we widen it out, have something somewhere else, and that from another provider of entertainment? It seems a bit odd. Excuse me, it does seem a bit odd.
Thank you. That's it. Councillor Farrell.
Just for clarification, this is Brecon projects. It's introducing, rather than old style notice boards where there's public information about what's going on, it's actually more digital.
Yeah.
So it's going to be used primarily as information, and town council can use it as well. It will no doubt have some adverts on the commercial paper, but it's basically bringing up to the old notice boards that used to go around town and bringing it into the digital age. But it is a cracking initiative that's happening in the other 5 months.
Thank you. Michelle and then Councillor Smith.
I just have a question myself, which is, do we know, is there any agreement in terms of how much capacity we're able to use at all, you know, or not?
Suspect you talk about them.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not approached us. Yeah, that's quite interesting.
That-
If we can
that's-
use it.
It is, and it's a high footfall area as well.
That's what I'm going to mention.
Yes,
On the marketing materials, for this BT Street Hub, they state councillors at 5% of the screen time.
Okay.
But I'd just be interested to know if that 5% is, does that include county council, district
Yeah,
council,
that's really nice.
town council, and what's like that 5%, etc. But yes, we do. I've looked into the materials behind it. Councils are entitled to use it.
thank you very much, Councillor. Good bit of research. You can ask that question as part of the feedback.
Yeah, the one query I had was, do we have access to it, and who's the person in control of it that we need to contact? Sort our stuff
Find all
out.
that
That's the query.
Okay, Councillor Ellis.
Can you tell me where the phone box is then?
I think they mean the exchange, don't they? But it's not.
The green,
There
the
is
big
no
green
sign,
bit.
is there? There isn't a phone box.
There isn't, not there.
It's in a- it's not a phone box.
No, I don't. Perhaps the infrastructure was in there from the past.
BT phone box.
Well, that's item F, the next one down. So as regards to this one for the screen itself, we've made a couple of queries. That is, we would like to know of that 5%, how much should we get, who do we need to contact, and how do we facilitate that? But for the item itself, are there any objections to the citing of this? No. Okay. The next item down is a removal of the existing BT phone box. But none of us can think where it is. I can't even see if there is one there, is there?
No, I've got. I recall there being one there.
I do, yes.
Still there.
Perhaps they need to retrospectively get the approval to remove that, in which case, I guess we have no objections.
I'm just looking on Street View now.
Unless that's that green, it's down there.
No, well, it's usually the switch box.
It could be still switch box.
Yeah, it's gone.
So there's no objections to that, I guess, then, councillors. Okay. On to the next one, which is 0721A, footpath outside. I never know how to sell that. The clinic. You can say it from somebody who's using that expensive service. But no, they do well. They want to also put a display outside of that area. Same purposes, I guess. It is a high footfall area. And it's a removal of the BT phone box. It's not there, is it? No,
It's been gone.
They moved it when they moved it when they moved it.
Yeah, sorry,
Everything
Councillor
is a
Smith.
Just in case anyone's not had the opportunity to look at this, these two devices offer free Wi-Fi in town. They
Yeah,
both
they're
get-
hubs.
They're both they're Wi-Fi hubs, and they have their own built-in phone inside of them. So they are actual paper, well, they're not papers, it's free to make calls.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. for that. Yes, Councillor Lane.
So what, it's an actual like kiosk, is it?
So imagine screen on that side,
Yeah,
screen on that side, it's not that thin, it's thicker, and there's a touchscreen tablet on this end,
right.
and that's where you make the phone call. And I don't think there's a handset, I think you press buttons and talk into it, if you wish. But they also do Wi-Fi, which will be very beneficial to them.
Two locations will be very beneficial, absolutely. So I personally don't have any objections. Anyone else? No, so the last two items are no objections as well. And I conclude it. Of those comments that we've made, if we can have a proposer and seconder to ratify those. Proposer Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Busk, and show hands for approval. And that will be one abstention, I guess. Thank you. So, financial matters, 7A to authorise payments. Any questions? No. If anybody would like to propose acceptance. Councillor Dale, Councillor Bond second, show of hands for approval. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No. 7B, to agree direct debits. Any questions on the direct debits? Okay. Anyone would like to propose acceptance? Councillor Westby, and second. So Councillor Bond, and a show of hands for approval, please. No, it's unanimous. 7C, to receive income. Any questions? Anyone like to propose or accept? Councillor Tyra, Councillor Bond, a show of hands for approval. It's unanimous. And for information, 7D, any questions on the petty cash payments, I should say? No. For information also, 7E, income and expenditure for May 2022. Any questions?
I've got reference 4055, judicial review claim 3000, and 4056, consultancy. Wonder if I could have some explanation on those, please.
Okay, well, the first item I know, because that was a fee that was charged in the claim, for the negligence claim that we received income in, I believe, at the last meeting, last full town council meeting, which was solicitor's fees to gain the claim. As far as your next one on the consultancy, I am not too sure. But we can come back to you with an answer on that if you.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, we can come back to you with an answer and councillors.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, 7F, notice boards. No, you want to come in on this one?
Yeah, so, I just wanted.
Yes, do we still need them? That's
Yeah.
good, that's good advice. Yeah.
I just wanted to come back to council on this. The council made a decision to purchase these really, quite beautiful, aesthetically pleasing notice boards for the town, and we forgot to put on there the front of the town hall, which is possibly the most important location, I think, if we're going to be invested in this kind of thing. So I have priced up the equivalent boards to replace the two that we have by the side of the door, which are rotten for your consideration, because we missed them off.
Councillor Lane?
Are these prices for oak or is it?
They're like the Harry Stebbins, so they're
Oh,
solid
they're
oak. They're exactly the same as what councillors agreed previously.
Councillor Taylor?
Can I propose that we?
Thank you. Who would like to second that?
Can I just ask?
Yes, you
Ask
can.
a query, so
Yeah.
we're looking at two of these.
Yes, one at each
Okay.
side of the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Second, councillor Dale, show of hands for approval. Thank you, that's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. 7G. This is to do with the clock. Any questions? Yes, councillor Smith.
Why is the council paying to fix the clock on the church?
Okay, so who wants to step in on this one? I would defer to someone who knows better in the public gallery at the moment, but from the best of our knowledge, it's a long-standing historic obligation of parish councils.
Just to say, we just done Brett Ellingham and Craig for that.
It is actually legal responsibility of the council, so yes.
It's similar to the church wall.
Yeah.
Maintenance that's were handed over to parish and town councils.
That's specifically the clocker though. It is.
We've paid for it in the past.
Yes, we have many times.
Repaired.
As a legal obligation, we should have it in good working order and presentable, as it enhances the town. It's a particularly nice clock as well. So we received this quotation. Councillor Lane.
If this is guaranteed for 24 months, and it's something that we've done before, can I ask that next time we get another quote for it?
Yeah, I don't know what the history is of
I
this.
don't know, it's historic, we've always had nickel and white, whether it's a niche thing, I don't know, but it's always been nickel and white since I've been here, and that's obvious, so I'm not certain, I mean, you could get other quotes, but I don't know whether there are people out there who would do a church pot, which is something that we can do.
If we could, I'm just concerned that it's nearly £1,000 every couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
They're doing some extra work this time, it's not normally that much, they just service at the moment, they're doing some restoration on this one, with old roof and everything, which I would say is quite a, got to be an expert to be able to do that. I mean, we can look at it, it's not a problem, but.
I just think we should, yeah.
Councillor Ellis has been patient, sorry, I'll let you all make comments if you like.
Do they, you've got one here for £380, that's just paint the hands and whatever. And the next one is 984 to do the motion work shaft man, which seems to me like the whole pot will have to come down and be done. But how do they know that that needs to be done? Or have they done a survey on this screen?
I've been out to service it.
Have they?
Yeah, they service the pot every year. We pay for that, and this is.
Oh, right, so they know
sorry.
this has got to be done
Yeah.
for that.
It does say, I
Oh,
missed
yeah.
that, councillor Ellis, but it does say in the top
Yeah, I just
sentence,
seen it.
as per our service report.
We're
Yeah.
getting old, you see, and seeing one. But as long as that's been done, and you know, fair enough.
Sorry, councillor Ellis.
Does that 24 months guarantee include maintenance, or is maintenance on, we've still got to pay maintenance from day one?
The clock has been annually maintained, as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, by this company for a long time under the council. So this is a long-standing maintenance. This is in addition to the early maintenance. This is actually a repair restoration.
Yes.
Okay.
So what you're saying is that despite it having a 24 month warranty, you've got to also pay a maintenance contract for those 2 years?
The same as what it would be for a car. You may have 100,000 mile warranty on a car, but if you don't service it for that, you are void of warranty. It requires maintenance to prevent the restoration of being so occurring.
Your point.
Yes,
Can I
councillor
just
Bear.
say historically, the clock at one time was in a very poor state, I'm sure Cliff, and it was a job to get it done. And the gentleman that does it actually knows the clock. And if you get, it's like, you know, you get a car mechanic that you like and does the job properly. So I think we can go around looking at all these, and we might make more work for ourselves because they don't necessarily understand the clock and mess it up. It was a long time that we were backwards and forwards and a lot of money spent. So I personally feel go with somebody that knows the clock, and it will save us money, I feel, in the long run, rather than.
Thank you, councillor Bear. Let's see your hands, councillor.
Yeah, it was just to say within the small print, we also offer an annual maintenance contract for any item. So I think just showing that maintenance is on top.
Yeah. Thank you. So councillors, this is a big proposal on the table before us. Councillor Fair. Thank you. If anybody would like to second that, councillor Westby, the motion has been put. Could we have show of hands for approval? Any abstentions? Opposition? Is that abstention? Sorry, is that opposed or?
Abstain.
Okay. Item 8, as if it is a pecuniary interest, you'll be invited to leave the room. If it is just an interest, normal interest, I think under the circumstances, I'm happy for you to remain in the room but not vote. So, ask for those. Joe, I feel really bad about asking you to remove the votes. That's all right. We'll come and get you when we're finished. This is a quotation for the Christmas lights.
Did we get some others come through?
The two from mice, there was a separate code, wasn't there?
Yes, I was, I had 2 quotations.
There was one from JSP Electrical.
Something.
Yeah, but I think we've only had 2, so we also need to
So
get
you've
the
got,
But, yeah, we've got another one. I think we kept, talked about the invoice that's been presented.
Yeah, so ideally we do need a third quote.
I've got all through, I can't remember.
Sorry, the other one was one that came to me separately.
Right.
One's in the pack and then I circulate the other.
So we do need to clarify with this orphans one anyway, because Jeremy's just told me that this one is inclusive of that, the other one isn't. You can't actually see that, so we need to clarify what that price, whether that's a net price or not. The 2 quotes we've got, we can go and get other quotes, and we have asked for other quotes. It's probably worth noting the 2 quotes we've got are people that are already working on Christmas lights in Nova. So it's our current electrician and our previous electrician, I believe, from what I've heard from Joe. Interestingly, the price comes in much better than it's on paper.
Yeah, just to that up, so both were the previous electrician, but they're from their separate ways.
So they were together.
So they were working together, so they've both worked with the Christmas lights and it's with the Christmas lights, but they're from their separate ways and they're now 2 companies. One is the company that's worked with it, but both individuals have worked with it. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think we can get a third quote because I think we should, but I think the fact that we've got 2 people that know the process is quite an advantage.
Well, like we just said, with the clock is a consistency, it does help, and they know what they're getting themselves into as well, which it's not straight by any means. Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, if I may as well, obviously I am a Christmas Light Committee member, so I won't be voting in any decisions that are made, but I do think it might be worth noting that usually the Christmas Light Committee would make these kind of appointments, so they would give the instruction to the electrician of their choice, but the town council financially support the Christmas Light Committee. So I think it would probably be more appropriate for the town council to say, we are only prepared to give you a sum of up to this amount at this limit, rather than dictate the company to the Christmas Light Committee that they should use.
It's a valid point, actually.
I think either is fine, isn't it? We don't want them to go back and think they're using.
What is the, sorry, councillor Bass.
Yes, have we've used these people before, have we?
Technically, yes, although they have separated into 2 entities.
There's just a little bit in their proposal that not include materials used and call out to falls. I can see a lot of money going into call out for faults. I mean, if you set up a system, you guarantee that system is going to work. Now, if it is the weather, a lightning strike and things like that, obviously, you know, that's an extra. But if it's because, oh, I'm awfully sorry, we put the switch in the wrong place, surely that should be their responsibility. Do you see what I mean?
I do. You've spoken by somebody that's obviously had contract work done before. The small print is important, and that's where a lot of the service charges can accumulate. I think we can get drawn into the minutiae of this very easily with the Christmas lights. We do have two routes to take for us, as Councillor Taylor said. There is a committee that is running the Christmas lights, and we can say to the committee, we will give you X amount of pounds as a council, like we have from the fireworks and other things that we've agreed to, and we leave it for them to manage on the expectation that they deliver on the services and the things that they said they're going to do. The other thing is, because of the amount of money that have been put into the lights from town council previously, there was a sense that we wanted to get best value for money and do a proper costing exercise on this. Because receipts were being directly put into the council and being paid by the council prior to this point. And at that point, then it's due diligence on our part to go to tender because of the sums. It's in line with our policy with procurement. So we can do one of two ways. If we're going to pay the bill directly to the individual, we have them to go through the tender process because that's our policy. However, if we are just volunteering the sum of money to the committee and leaving them to sort it out, then we aren't paying the electricians and everyone else. And then it becomes a very simple decision on how much the council is going to give to the community. And I try not to sway you too much, but you can probably tell from the administration side which one of those two I feel reference to. Because one, it gives the committee autonomy to make decisions and freedom, and we're not taking over from a community. We're leaving them to do what they do best, knowing the people they know. But also, it gives some guarantees in the council. We give a certain sum, and there's no exposure to additional costs. Also, additional administration, which may be perceived as muddying the water between two, which I feel in the past it has been. Councillor Wayne and Councillor Tyler.
Can I propose that we go to the Christmas Lights Committee and ask them to do as the Firework Committee have come to us with a proposal of how much, what donation they would like. Now we have done a costing exercise, so we're aware of what it should cost. That would be my suggestion, and do exactly as you said, as we do with the fireworks, they come to us, we agree a figure and leave it to them. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you. I'm mindful Councillor Tyra and Michelle wants to say something.
Yeah, I support that because it comes back to the principle, as the new town council, the premise is what as a town council can we do to help support community groups or voluntary groups and what have you, not we will be the final say of what you can and can't do. So I think it's another example of moving on to it's your responsibility. How much do you want? Is it acceptable to the town council? Yes, no, thank you very much, and fantastic job. And what else can we do to support you going forward? I think that's the principle of the town council we should be following, rather than getting muddied and it seemed we're appointing. It does upset people. So
yeah, we can very easily tread on toes and upset what is a remarkably good event for our community. So there's a consensus built on this, Michelle.
I've just got some really important information to add to this discussion, which may help your decision. The reason we left this on, even though we've only got 2 quotes at the time, was one of these electricians has already put in a bill for this year because there was some confusion between them and the lights committee, and they apparently didn't know they weren't meant to start the testing, so they're already a couple of grand down the road. Now we haven't actually got these quotes. Joe got these quotes for us. They are, that's with that and that's without. You already know the kind of money that the lights are going to need from us. I just think, given the fact that someone's already started doing some work and there is some negotiation, actually leaving it to the Christmas Lights Committee to decide how they want to handle that is probably not a thing we should be wading too deep into, how they manage that situation.
It's, you know what, as a town council, we need to do what is our statutory responsibility well, and support those who are doing the above and beyond things for our community. So I think there's a consensus on this. If anybody would like to put a proposal to that, however you'd like to word it, Yes, councillor Lane.
And there's some lines that we propose we go back to the Christmas Lights Committee and ask them to submit a formal request for funding for this total funding for this year's lights. So that would include anything that's already been done.
And that'll be retrospectively considered. Okay, that's a proposal. Anyone seconds, councillor Dale, and a show of hands for approval. That is unanimous. We also need to note that councillor Taylor abstained.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can invite Joe back in.
Can I just make a?
Sorry, yes.
Just before we, I mean, the whole idea of getting these in to show that we're looking at quotes is sensible, and I think we should do that every year. When it does come to Christmas lights time, so again, we can make sure that we're getting best value for money, not for money again, but I still think it's sensible. We should see that we're getting best value for money.
I think a certain amount of transparency from the Christmas Light Committee on what the costs are and formalised quotations would really help. Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, what I was going to say is obviously the Christmas Light Committee will be making an annual request to the town council that has done historically again. So realistically, at that point, the town council could say, with your request for funding or donation, we would like to see at least 2 or 3 quotes submitted.
That's very sensible. Thank you.
Just
Councillor
out of
Leslie.
interest, how much have we paid in the past?
A lot more than that.
Yeah, I think it
I
was.
think it's actually quite reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've been doing a lot of upgrades. haven't
They have.
Yeah, they have to do upgrades.
Yeah. So, yes, thank you.
But the upgrades do get paid for by the Christmas lights. They do have their own money as well.
No.
Mm.
Okay. Thanks, Joe. Just on a personal note, Joe, it's great to see your commitment to the council when you're coming in as you are. You know, and you've got a lot more current value, so it's good to see you with us.
I haven't felt this good in, well, 6 to 4 months.
Brilliant. That's great news. So on to item 9, the staff meeting hosting only. Councillor Smith, did you want to make a note on this or?
No, because I put this on.
Okay.
So I don't know where to.
Okay, what's happened? And this is a little bit of, okay, I could say a little bit on this. We have a tendency as a council to dive in both feet, and sometimes we can take over things a little bit too much rather than back it up and allowing the community to run themselves. What's the previous resolution made, I believe it was around about October last year, said that we have to, the council were responsible for the agenda of the staff meetings, which is the police liaison meetings.
And the minute.
And the minutes and things like this. And it was putting burden on the council and the operations, but we weren't strictly responsible for those. It's not part of our statutory obligations. And I think what we need to do is just draw back a little bit and let community events be, or groups, be community groups. And so it was just saying, we're happy for the council to host it, but it's really under the guidance of the Norfolk Constabulary, and they will appoint the agenda and sort the minutes out between the committee as established. So we support it without actually getting too far into it.
I don't know when it changed, because the police used to send the agendas out and then send the minutes out. So I don't know where switchover was, because they always did it. When we used to do it down at the police station, they hosted, and then, you know, we came here, but they actually did everything.
Okay. Sorry, go to Councillor Taylor and then Michelle.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the minutes from the SNAP meetings, they stopped, I think, about 2019, because they used to be circulated to, they'd be obviously written, drafted by the police, sent to the office, and then circulated to all members, so that all members were aware of what was going on in the community. That stopped, and when we started having regular SNAP meetings again, I discussed this with PC London, and actually Sergeant Shelley come and spoke at a meeting, I don't know if you recall, but they don't have the resources to produce the minutes. So that's why the minutes have stopped. So we decided that in their inability to produce them, we would step up and do that so that everyone could be aware of what was happening in those meetings.
Sorry.
No, it's just it's kind of, my understanding is slightly in between both of those views, which was that the police asked, basically didn't want it to be police led, they wanted it to be community led. So we agreed to host it here. There hadn't been minutes, as Councillor Taylor said, for some time. But my understanding is that the chair could have been elected from anybody at that table. And therefore, is there a problem if the notes are taken by anyone at that table? Is it a council meeting? Do we need a council officer present? And my understanding of that was no, but this is where there was some confusion at the last meeting. We need to clarify.
Councillor Dale.
Also, there's people from all the hinterland come in. Surely then maybe some of you could spread it round so they can do it. You know, so different groups rather than be at Akbar based. Anyone Clark could do it, or they can't, you know, some of the others, because
If you set it up in a committee, we don't mind hosting it, but if it isn't really one of our designated subcommittees, I think it's for the committee themselves to work out how they do that. Sorry, Councillor Smith.
SNAP's not a council committee, it's a separate body that we happen to have a representative on. Who currently happens to be me, who currently happens to chair it, but it's not a council committee. I think when back in October we might have sort of just overreached slightly, as you said. I think hosting it is fine, and the last time Debbie took notes, I took notes, we spliced them together, made some, I'm not going to call them minutes, but made some notes, and we sent them out to all those present at the meeting. And I think making sure that we don't overreach, because it isn't just an act of a SNAP. We have people from Rocklands, we have people from the villages, etc. And we need to make sure that we're not saying we'll have to move them.
That's a really important thing, is we're trying to reach out to the parishes. I don't want to raise concerns on that as well. We're on a, trying to take over the world. Councillor Baskin and Councillor Taylor, then we'll try and tie it up.
I agree with Councillor Smith. We are a motivation agency. It's good for the town that there is this organisation, this meeting, but we don't control it, we motivate it. It is, but the two are separate as I see it.
Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I don't think obviously the council's intention was to overreach or overstep its boundaries. I think we had the resources, so we were offering to help, like to alleviate the pressure that couldn't be picked up elsewhere. And for that reason, I think probably the most appropriate thing to do would be to go to the next SNAP meeting and put it on the table to say, would anyone be willing or prepared to take some notes, and then come back to the council with obviously a definitive answer out of that meeting if someone else is available to do it. Because I think it would be a shame if none was taken. Oh, I know obviously Councillor Smith said from last time, if he's prepared to carry on doing that going forward, but informally, but to commit himself to it, then I think that then maybe not be so necessary. I think it would be beneficial if notes were taken, and not just for ourselves, not selfishly. Like you said last time, they were circulated to everyone that was present, and I'm sure all of those people that received those notes probably thought it was beneficial.
Thank you, Councillor.
This is an outside committee to us, and we have to be mindful not to be taking over but supporting such committees. And they annually elect a chairman, and as an outsider looking in, I'd suggest that whoever is elected as chairman should be responsible for ensuring that there are minutes and notes. So
that was a big,
unfortunately,
Big
but in future years, if it could be a member from Rocklands Parish Council,
That's
so
right.
I don't think it's our place to say to this committee, And Alvaro, how do I control this or want to say how you should do it?
I don't like councillor Towson. I don't think that was ever our intention. It's come from a good place with great intent. I think the practicalities and just the image of it wasn't quite right. So, sorry, councillor Baskin, then you will.
May I recommend that this is minuted in such a way that this can be distributed to those who are involved with SNAP. So there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah, I think some sort of proposal saying, as a town council, one, we're happy to continue hosting this event. And we ask that the group, led by the chair, organise the minutes of distribution of those minutes. Is that a fair summary of that?
That's good.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's seconded. So I just made a proposal, seconded by councillor Lane, and a show of hands for approval. Thank you very much. Thank you. There's no votes.
For those of you interested, the next meeting is on the 26th of July.
Good plug, I like it. Okay, item number 10, which is a request to use S106 money to engage a land management company to assist with identifying new cemetery sites. I think this is an in principle one because we probably need to go to quotation.
Absolutely.
But how do councillors feel about engaging a consultant to look for a new cemetery site? Because we have got 2, maybe 3 years left in our existing cemetery, and they take time to prepare. We know it's a priority. Sorry, councillor Dale, councillor Smith, and then councillor Lane.
We've got to supply cemetery land. I think it's a no-brainer. We're going to have to spend the money to find it. We've got to have somewhere to bury people. Not everyone wants to be cremated, so we have, I think that's one of our statutory obligations, isn't it? To run the cemetery. So I don't think there's any question about it. We're going to have to use that one. And that's in principle.
Councillor Smith.
How much is the 106? And do you have any ballpark figure of how much it's going to cost this consultancy company?
Well, we do have some S106 money for this that could be utilised in this.
Yeah, so we've got an earmark reserve, it's got 85,000 for a cemetery, and there's 34,000 of S106 that has to be committed by March 2023, and that is what we're hoping to apply to do this with.
Yeah.
I haven't got quotes for land management companies yet for the simple reason that I didn't want to put that work in without it coming to council for approval. But the truth of the matter is, I've spoken to Brecon, I've spoken to Norfolk, I've spoken to lots of people. Some sites have been identified, the water table's been too high. We're going to need some expert assistance to find the right location.
I agree with what Vera said. I've just got concern that we end up spending money that could be spent on the product with the person finding the product.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And nothing would pursue, this is an principle matter, that those monies could be engaged for consultation to assist us in identifying appropriate land. And that's what we're discussing here. The monies won't be spent until we've had the quotations back. Okay. Sorry, who do I go to next? It was councillor Lane.
And I was going to say,
And we're going to go 1, 2, 3.
I was going to say exactly the same as what I just said. You know, yeah, we've got to go, we've got to do it, but we need to approach ASAP.
I was just going to say, with councillor Smith's concern about obviously the money being spent to the best of its ability, if this money isn't spent by March, it will go back to the developer. So we're, do you know what I mean, it's time sensitive. So getting this in motion tonight is really the most beneficial and appropriate thing we can do to go forward.
It doesn't mean that 34
No,
pounds will be spent
no.
on consultancy.
No.
What it means is we can identify a piece of land that the majority of that money can go to. But we can do it in a timely manner because we need to. So, yes. Councillor Westby is an expert on the matter.
I wouldn't say that, but I've been involved in cemeteries previously, and it's quite a specialist in to get the ground conditions and the water table right. So, and obviously things like highway access and all that would be advisable to get some expert systems.
Yeah, and if there's anything we can do to point us in the right direction.
Well,
We'll give it a shot.
I've got a couple of people that
Yes, we have.
are able to assist with that.
So just on that, it would be worth sitting down now and getting briefed together. It's not just the geology, it is the access, it's planning, it's environmental, it's carbon and everything else. So
Yeah.
this needs expert consultants coming in.
So
And it may cost money, but it needs to be done as a statutory obligation. So,
who's able to assist in putting together the brief? Because I feel that there's a motion coming that, yes, in principle we will, but we will need to get a brief together for this.
Yeah, I think, well, like most things, when you appoint consultants, it's pointless unless you've got a really tight brief. So I know, not exactly I think it is, but very close by, the idea of capacity, what we're looking for, we've got a handle on that. I think what we do need is a little bit more from you, Andy, on the other expertise that's required, because you've dealt with that sort of land finding before.
Sure.
So I think our side of things, I think Michelle's got a handle on, so you can look at capacity, and then we're looking at access, and we're looking at the ground table elements, and then we can see whether it's just its tabletop exercise or whether we need to do more work.
So in principle, what we're saying is, the motion or the proposal needs to say, yes, we want to do this, but we're authorising the clerk with relevant expertise within the council to put together a brief to add a consultation.
Yeah.
Because whoever we appoint, there'll be a number of sites, they're going to have to go and contest it. It can't be just a desktop.
No,
Because of
no.
time.
I agree. So,
What lands are available?
so the proposal is, yes, we agree to use S106 money for consultation to identify a new cemetery site in accordance with the brief that will be led by the clerk with relevant expertise.
Oh, so
I'll second that.
Yes, seconded by Councillor Taylor, and Chair Maxwell Freeman.
Can I just put one final comment? It's more heads up so councillors don't get scared when it comes back in the future. Ideally, it would be public land. However, there isn't any public land that's suitable, otherwise we'd already have it. So you're going to be into a discussion by privately land which can be. So it's just heads up, just expect big figures or complications coming in. It's a big complex project.
Quite in the town centre or in the immediate town, because I mean, it seems like the Bracknell crematorium at Stalton now, and the cemetery that I was involved in at Dereham, they were relatively out of town, but they need to have good public transport provision.
Well, one of my favourite cemeteries in the area is the one close to the Woodland Norwich, the Woodland one.
The Coney one, yeah.
That is absolutely beautiful. It really is a stunning place. So we do need to keep an open mind. Okay, council reports, item 11. Do any councillors, and that includes district councillors who may be visiting with us, want to offer a report?
Thank you, Chairman. Just give you an update, Borough, with Brackland or whatever. The development at Oak Lodge, Unit 1, Wylam Close, is Sanctuary Housing Association is well underway now, and tiled all in and do, so that will be coming back into the town. That was stood empty for years. And there's major works there. I won't read all the stuff out. And the works, preliminary works are progressing at Howard Mayform, Britain Brush. Right, they're putting their applications in and getting support. Tomorrow, we have a full panel meeting at Brackland. And then Thursday, we have full district council meeting. Tomorrow night, I'm I have to give my apologies, because it seems though that's the gravity presentation, isn't it? Skateboard tomorrow.
It is,
night?
yes.
Yeah. I queried that with a question mark, because when they gave me the date, it's not Tuesday, it was a Wednesday, and that was a Wednesday, so I'll have to go back on the email, because I'm committed tomorrow night, anyway.
I'm sorry about it.
6 o'clock, all right? So otherwise, things are progressing, nothing else to report. I don't think there's any applications. Otherwise, only delegate. On planning tomorrow. There's 1 or 2 contentious ones over the district. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pete. Any other council reports?
The
Councillor
interview
Dale.
and scrutiny in a week's time. We hope to have Norfolk County Council Highways representative there about cutting grass verges.
That's the hot topic
So
on
please
social
can you
media.
give me a list of any complaints you've
Yeah.
had, so I can.
I know Councillor Taylor will have on social media.
No, I actually received a telephone call about one on Halford Road last week. I think it's outside of
Bessel Road as well. Walk around.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I just come back on
Yes,
that grass cutting, Serco lost a lot of contract, and who it's gone to now has not given a very good service. I mean, just so many cuts, so that could mean anything, right? And the other thing is for information, I was a little bit amazed looking at Cemetery Land, remember, or several, when we looked up the top of Lawrence Lane, that's at the top of the hill there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they tested or what. but-
It was definitely too wet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, up there, it was definitely, the field they were looking at was too wet. Yeah,
It's gonna be a difficult job in that road we got
yeah.
right around the town, high water times. Not at present.
not presently, no. It's,
All right.
it's a valid point, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, councillors. We'll move on to the correspondence. The first part of this correspondence is to do with the request for a shelter at Carlton Road. Councillor Tyler.
To be honest, it comes back to the Peaches Brecon report we heard earlier. Ideally, we should be talking with the county council about putting shelters and seeing some real-time travel information on all the bus stops. We're trying to encourage more bus use.
That's such a valid point. That is, I saw a lot of you nodding your heads. That really is.
Shall I put that back into my correspondence with Emma?
I think
Let's
it's
get
a
it in.
specific request. No, I certainly support it. I think then put it in the context of actually there's a bigger discussion. I know down London Road, Taylor Wimpey, I think the question highway to put curb it and house done. It's just simple things like that that go overlooked. And they could do it with the Norwich Road as the first one. Just like that.
That's a really good point. Thank you.
And real-time information is really important as well.
Yes, it is, particularly with the A11 the way it is at the moment. Yes.
Yeah, I actually have come to council a couple of times now and reported something similar that I've had complaints on this specific stretch of road by mainly elderly women that are going to get the bus. So if we could just minute that we do support this, but we'll take it elsewhere for further discussion.
I think we need to do more than we've done in the past.
Yeah, I think if we could just agree that we are supportive and then start taking steps for delivery.
Can we make a suggestion that we chuck it in as an early win as part of the town contract?
That's a really good suggestion. Yes, so, yeah, councillor.
So, forgive me for being a bit thick, but putting these sort of shelters up, are we able to do it from our own funding if we wanted to, or do we?
No, we don't
No,
own the
it's
land
not
or have the
allowed.
rights to do so. However, we can certainly make better representation. Now we're trying to mould the future plan for the area, and we've got the multi-agencies involved in the partnerships that we're looking to and have started to create going forward. It's representing in those sort of levels better than we have done, and specifically as well with certain sites and suggestions. So yes, I'm very happy for that proposal that we noted and that we take it up with relevant organisations as an action point.
And to be honest, this has been a failing in terms of previous developments that they've not been written into the S106 as required in the structure.
Wholeheartedly agree with that comment. It gets missed. It does get missed. So yes, and I do like the point about real-time information at these bus stops is so fantastic. You know, they do it in Norwich, and it really makes all the difference.
So is it Taylor's proposal?
Taylor's proposal. Anyone like to second Taylor's proposal? Councillor Westby, and a show of hands for approval. Thank you. Good. 12B. This is to do with large vehicles along Church Road. This, if you've read through it, and if you walk down Church Road and there's something driving past, you'll know what this is saying. This is something we have to look at it as for a little bit, but it's difficult. I think we've got any comments or suggestions on how we handle this, or what we responded.
The highway arrangement down there after the roadworks is appalling. The narrowing of the pedestrian crossing, and it suddenly kicks out again. It's very believable, to be honest.
Councillor Tyra, an expert in these things.
Well, I totally agree with you that highways will just say they follow the standards. So basically, it's that parking space outside nationwide.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
There's one too many parking spaces.
That's what it's causing. When you inspect and get a large vehicle that overhangs the dotted lines.
Yeah.
That's the issue. It's not necessarily the design per se. They're trying to squeeze more parking in.
Yeah, there's one too
Which
many.
you can understand, but it is causing a problem. You're going to have to lose the space if you want to improve safety.
I think as soon as we, in the town of the Uzi area, saw that was happening, we questioned the logic of having an extra space. So I think it is something that we can certainly make representation. We're talking to the county about bus shelters. I think we can also talk to them about this matter too. Councillor Taylor. and
Yeah.
Councillor Bucks.
I was just going to say, from my own experience, there's been a couple of occasions where even where the parking stops, the yellow lines are completely ignored. If people want to pop into the shops that have the yellow lines outside them, or during further back, they will just pull up on the yellow lines and have no regard for the fact that they're there.
That is an issue, isn't it?
But I don't know what we can do about that. I feel like it's slightly out of control.
It is. We've had complaints about this. I've spoken to the police. It was decriminalised off-road parking. So it's a civil matter now. So it's
we couldn't police it anyway.
No.
Like we couldn't even.
But I think the likelihood of people parking there is lessened if it's not seen as a parking space. I think I would feel happier as a resident of town if the parking was, we lost one space but gained a lot more safety.
maybe it could be hatched even.
It could even be hatched. I think I would be very happy to support this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know whether having to be much good, but I mean, that might be the as de minimis we could do like that.
Yeah.
I think if we are wording something, don't say we're losing a parking space, because that will then lead to further discussions. I think just say you lessen the length of parking availability, because it's not based on, they've modelled it on how long a particular car is and the length, but people don't park normally anyway.
No.
So I think it's just a case of shortening the parking length along that section of Church Street without explicitly saying we might lose a space.
Very wise words of someone who's known. Thank you. Councillor Buskin, and we'll try and wrap this up.
I am worried that we are starting to look at a lorry run. It is a community area. Those spaces people come in and out. They're very handy instead of making us go to the large car park. lorries have to conform to the law, and some of them are not. Also, I am concerned that we're seeing many lorries going through because it's more convenient for them. Now, I understand the problem. We've got all those roadworks. They think here's a shortcut where we can get round those queues somewhat. But really, we have to have a policy here. Is the centre of town intended for shoppers or is it for lorries? I believe we've got to make a conclusion on that. And we have to consider these big lorries. They are warned earlier on not to go through, but they do. And we should consider what are the requirements of the residents first.
I get what you're saying. Logistically, that is the only access. Alternatives with link roads in 15, 20 years. But realistically, and we've got to be careful, we're talking about an area that isn't the express remit and control of the town council. We need to talk about it in stages that are reasonable and effective. I think the discussion previously is good. We've made representation already within the hatch consultation on traffic flow around the town, which you've done, and they've made some aspirations on the management of that. I think when you start making statements as profound as that, we instantly overstep the mark on what we can suggest. So we have to be very careful.
You've gone offline.
So we've gone offline, have we? Okay. Just hold on one moment, and I'll try and get us back online. Thank you. Sorry. It was going too well.
Nearly got there.
Nearly.
Then stopped.
Right, okay. It will kick in at some point automatically. But we need to get the bit rate high enough, which is about connection speed. Okay. Sorry about that. So we'll just make sure we record minutes on this very well. Next part, Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the comments that Councillor Tyra made were doing a very good suggestion. So I don't know if that was a proposal for how we respond, but if it was, then I'll second that.
Councillor Tyra, was that a proposal? Are we talking about shortening the parking space to allow?
Well, I think the first discussion is discussion with Norfolk Highways about what can we do to resolve this, and as part of that discussion, we'll shorten the length across there to allow, even though they would have modelled it with the sweat path analysis, say it's fine, we'll just say practically it's not.
We do have several concerns to this matter as well.
Yeah.
But this, as a proposal, we'll go to Northern County Council.
There's a matter of urgency.
There's a matter of safety, yeah, but to shorten the parking space. So yes, and that automatically says that we support this correspondence as well. So is that what you wanted to second? And a show of hands for approval. Thank you. Item 12C. Now we do have a member of the Boxing Club here this evening. If you're minded, council, I can suspend standing orders for him to make it personalised and participate in this discussion. Councillor Taylor. Opposed, seconded by Councillor Lane, and a show of hands for approval, which means you're welcome to speak to us about this as well. So if you want to come and sit a bit closer to us as well, so that we can see you. Yeah.
Yeah, hello, I'm John. I run Asper and Boxing Club and the lead coach. The reason I'm requesting it is we have a lot of young people who represent this town. We've had an Olympian, we've had kids with box in World Championships, European Championships, and most people in the sporting world know Attleborough through the sport of boxing, like boxing or not. We have been voted as community, Norfolk Active Community Club twice. I've been coach of the year 3 times. I'm a national coach and then national coach. I take the England team away. It says we have the England team train at Attleborough. I can't see the problem where a kid wearing an Attleborough thing on his vest, he or she represent the great town of Attleborough, is a real big problem. I thought the town council would want to see young people doing well in sport on the back page or front page of the local paper for crime. So that's my reason.
That's good, John. And just on a personal note, you do a lot of good for our community and kids here. I've seen the first time. Thanks for what you do, John. Over to you, councillors. What's your thoughts and feelings on this? Councillor Taylor, Councillor Lang.
So we're talking about the town council logo. This is what we.
The thing what's on our display on the sign there. Lots of other clubs we go against nationwide. They all sport their town crest, their logo, and we haven't. And I will historically we have requested before, and refused based that apparently we're going to look like a town council worker. We get confused with a town council worker. I can't get a minute.
So is my question to maybe Michelle would be, is this crest, is that our copyright? Or is it actually something historically linked to the town?
It's not copyright.
The crest itself is the property of the town per se. The town logo is incorporated in the Attleborough Town Council wording. We've just amended that recently. So it's a matter for us to decide on that part.
It's the crest.
But the crest itself, we have one of probably 4 or 5 versions that are floating out there as to versions of the crest of Attleborough Town.
I'm just trying to get straight in my head. Is what you're asking about is a crest?
The crest, what?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand that.
Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the uniforms, you would also have Attleborough Boxing Club or ATC.
Attleborough Boxing Club goes with that. The crest could actually possibly go on the back, not all your boxing. You don't put a target on the chest or something like that, so that might be.
Okay. Councillor Westby.
Personally, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. It's only going to support the town and support the club as well. For all the
I'll just come to Michelle, because if there's any technical matters.
No, I was actually just going to ask, I know it sounds silly, but I was going to ask what colour you wear.
We wear red and blue. They wear
Right.
blue corner, they wear blue, and the red corner, they wear red.
So our uniforms are very dark navy, almost
Yes.
black, so actually there'd be no reason you get confused with that. So
If one of your work round was in the box, and
they do, some of them do. But no,
We'll
it's
send them
not,
there for
it
disciplinary
sounds
action.
very different.
No, so, Councillor Taylor.
Please.
Okay, that's a proposal. Show of hands for approval. Done. Thank you very much. John.
Has anyone got a actual PDF?
Yes, we do. I've got high res of the older version and the newer version.
We talk about using the new.
Yeah.
You can use the new one. It probably sew in better, but yeah, you can
Can I
have a.
Can I just ask and bring up this second point that you've raised about applications for grants, letter from council to support?
I was going to bring that up in your other
Yeah,
business.
I mean, how does this work? Because we do get people come to us, don't we, committee, asking.
That's normally if you're applying to us for a grant.
So I could ask you a question now, is that okay?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I know it's of interest, the town, the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a constituted group, non-constituted group or part of town council. Now, I was led to believe there's a cap on how much the community organisations apply for the council too. I'm assuming that as I was aware that's £200 to £500, £200. So obviously is that now, are other groups allowed to apply for this? We're currently doing work with police and all the rest of it.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of community events, and they have to be available for the whole community.
Yep.
Such as the Christmas lights or the fireworks displays. It's a community-wide event where the caps don't apply. Being honest about it, in your circumstances, because it is a club and it is a specific demographic or part of the community, it probably come under our normal grants.
beg to differ, because,
I know
we
what
don't
you-
just, we don't just do box, we do kids what commit, attempt to suicide, mental awareness, etc., etc., so we're a broad spectrum, so I don't beg to differ.
Okay, sorry, councillor Taylor.
No, I was just gonna say, it might be worth noting that the 250 limit is to the grant application,
Yeah.
and the others are more of a request for a donation for, for a whole community event, so it's a different
That's a
avenue.
technicality.
They've
There
taken
you
a
go.
different avenue to get higher amounts of funding.
But you're at liberty to reply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I mean, we hear all things. We do. But as far as a letter from the council, supporting you as you apply for other grants and other bits and pieces, which is the other part of this request, if I understand it correctly. I've put it to you, councillors, would you be supportive of them in writing a letter of support
Yes.
or something
Yes.
to for that? Councillor Lane?
Didn't we do recently something with the athletics group where they were applying for some grant and we had to,
Yes, we did.
we
Yeah,
did,
we
and
had
that
to
was,
give letters.
we have given that, so precedents were set anyway. There. And am I right in saying what they did was they sent us a note about what they were applying for and would we be happy to support it?
Yes.
And then we said, yes, we would. So that was, yeah.
Councillor Lane.
I was just gonna, say that, yes, I think that we should do that, and if we need a proposal, then I think.
Okay. Got mind to get things done, so that's good. So would anybody else support or second that motion? So happy to do that. Councillor Lane, and a show of hands for approved. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. So we have a letter of support. All right. Anything else going on here? Yes. It's all right. Okay, thanks very much for that. Public participation. Exciting. Anything from members of the public? No? Okay. Any other items? The only point I'm going to raise is about the wheel stroke skate park consultation tomorrow night. If you can attend, be part of it. It's going to be a good discussion. And what I'm hoping to do is move one of our bigger projects forward as we start to really deliver on some of the promises that we've made in the past. This is important for us. So something that's been raised in conversations about the consultation prior is what an inspirational thing it is to kickstart with the further developments that we want to do as well. There's already I understand other parish councils looking at us with a bit of envy. So we need to get on and do this. This is something that we mean business, supplying something. That's about it from myself. And if that is the case, we close the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, but you are transmitting. It is coming through.
This is what they don't know, do they?